see if I can get this out of here, by 7:15.
All right, timing it.
Oh, we got 6.
Jim not coming?
No, he said Jim and Fred both aren't. It just leaves Nathan. Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to the order. Will the board secretary take the roll?
Mr. Jim Bard. Mr. Dwayne Burt.
Here.
Mr. Levi Kressler.
Here.
Mrs. Stephanie Eberly.
Here.
Dr. Nathan Goetz. Mr. Don Hilbinger.
Here.
Mr. Fred Scott. Mr. Charlie Suiters.
Here.
Mr. Mark Butterball.
Present.
Miss Allison Hunt. Mr. Caden Yonish.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we begin our deliberations this evening, let us once again be reminded of our duty to represent all of the children of this district and school community, regardless of age, sex, race, or creed, and regardless of need or ability. May we now have a moment of silence to reflect on our thoughts, plans, and actions on behalf of the students of the Shippensburg School District, and a moment of silence for John Jones, who passed away April 11th. He was a 1956 graduate. Dale Gallo, who passed away on April 25th. He was a 1979 graduate. And Lee Chamberlain, who passed away April 30th and is a 1952 graduate. Thank you. Agenda approval. Sherry, are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
No, there are none.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Suiters. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Eberly. Roll call.
Mr. Levi Kressler.
Yes.
Mrs. Stephanie Eberly.
Yes.
Mr. Don Hilbinger.
Yes.
Mr. Dwayne Burt.
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Suiters.
Yes.
Mr. Mark Butterball.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move on to citizen comments. We have 2 citizen comment periods, and let the record note that Dr. Goetz has arrived. 2 comment periods. The first one is for agenda items, and the second comment period at the end of the meeting is for any other item. If you have any comments regarding an agenda item, please come down to the front, to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Okay, we'll move on to student reports. There are no student representatives here. Move on to the Franklin County Career Center report. Mr. Burt?
Oh, thank you very much. Just a few items that I'd like to report from the most recent meeting of the Joint Operating Committee, which took place on April 28th of this past month. First of all, the board approved the 22-23 general operating budget for the Career Center, which you'll see later in the discussion section of our agenda. And while there was a small increase in the overall budget for the Career Center, based on the 3-year ADMs, which are down for Shippensburg, and that stands for average daily membership, the cost sharing for Shippensburg will be actually a cost reduction in the amount of $33,925. But the Career Center did approve that budget, and that goes out to the sending school districts for approval. Next, I'd like to mention that in the meeting, we did approve the final resignation for the long-term director, Mr. Jim Duffy. Jim has served the Career Center and all of the sending districts so well in 2 long-term stints at the Career Center. And Jim's retirement will be effective the end of July, and we'll certainly miss Jim. Additionally, I think I've mentioned in the past that we were working on both the hiring of a new director and assistant director. Relative to that, we did some work and to revise the Act 93 agreement, which was necessary to make room for the hiring of the assistant director. And we did approve a new Act 93 agreement for the school, which takes us through June of 2025. Another move that took place in the meeting, we recommended the hiring of Mr. Terry Miller, who's a former assistant director, to move him to the administrative director effective July 1. And we approved that hiring and the contract that's associated with that. And then in addition to the Act 93 agreement, we recommended and approved the hiring of Dr. Leslie Schumann, who's formerly the principal of Cumberland Perry Career Tech, to the assistant director at Franklin County Career and Technology Center. So a lot has been going on, and the last thing that I would mention is that the superintendent of record, which is currently Mr. Rodney Benedict from Tuscarora, will be rotating out, and effective July the 1st, Mr. Benedict's last day as superintendent of the record of the Career Center will be, again, the end of June. And beginning July 1, that position will be moved to Dr. Dion Betts from Chambersburg. So that change will be coming up soon as well. That concludes my report for the evening.
Thank you, and I don't believe any board committees met, so we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Suppo is not here tonight, so we have Sherry who's guiding the board.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Tonight you will see the enrollment attached for the month of May, as well as the donation report. The American Legion Post 223 had a monetary donation to support the Shippensburg Area Senior High School Maroon and Gray Today newspaper at $500. The Minnequaw, I can never say this word, the Minnequaw Club, Social Club, monetary donation to support the Shippensburg Area Intermediate School Facility Dog at $100. And Mooney and Associates LLC, monetary donation to support the Shippensburg Area Intermediate School Facility Dog, value at $200. And I would also like to report our facility dog will be arriving on Friday. So Mrs. Mallory is at her training today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday for Harry to come on Friday.
Great, thank you, Sherry. Move on to the consent agenda, approval of minutes from the April 25th meeting. 4B are your finance reports. 4C, personnel, administrative staff. Administration recommends approval of the following new appointments. Jeremy Eastman, principal at Nancy Grayson Elementary School, effective June 1st. This covers the vacancy created by the approved retirement of Susan Martin. Blake Goudhauer, assistant high school principal, effective July 1st. This is replacing Gregory Miller's transfer. Ms. Sheldhauer received her bachelor's degree from McDaniel College as well as a master's degree in educational leadership from Penn State University. She completed her student teaching at Carroll County Public Schools in Maryland and has a certification in mathematics 7 through 12 as well as principal certification. She is currently teaching at the Chambersburg School District.
She is here this evening as well.
Okay, and I believe she is here. Please stand. Welcome. Welcome to Shippensburg. Administration recommends approval of the following FMLA qualifying leave of absence request. Diane Ryan, March 25th through May 23rd. Jenna Wellham, fourth grade teacher at the Shippensburg Intermediate School, effective September 11th and continuing through the 2022-2023 school year. Expected return date of 2023-2024, first day in service day. Administration recommends approval of the following new appointment. Bailey Milnick, English teacher at the high school. Leanne Rieger, guidance counselor at Jamesburg Elementary School. Kelly Wilson, learning support special education teacher at the middle school. Support staff administration recommends the following resignations. Charlie Mills, part-time cafeteria helper at the high school. John Yurko, full-time custodian at the high school. Administration recommends the following transfer. Larry Shannon, substitute utility maintenance worker at the school district to short-term part-time utility maintenance worker. Administration recommends approval of the following support staff employees who have successfully completed the 60-day probationary period. Mary Byers, part-time classroom assistant at the intermediate school. Administration recommends approval of the following new appointments. Amel Habib, part-time classroom assistant at James Byrd. Swarup Patel, part-time technology specialist at the high school. Supplemental staff, administration recommends the following resignations. Vanessa Lee, department chair, special education. Barbara Wright, intermediate school student council advisor. Barbara Wright, intermediate school yearbook advisor. Andrea Thompson, high school assistant band director. Administration recommends approval of the following individuals for temporary summer school academy: Greta Christ and Jenna Wellham. Administration recommends approval of the following individuals as temporary summer school academy teachers: Pamela Farney and Teresa Tibbetts. Administration recommends approval of the following individuals as temporary extended school year transfers for 2022. You can see the list there. Administration recommends approval of the following individual as temporary extended school year substitutes. Administration recommends approval of the following individuals as temporary extended school year classroom assistants. 4D is approval of Boyo bus and van drivers. 4E is request to form 2 clubs at the high school: Armed Forces Club and Facility Dog Ambassadors. 4F is request to purchase enclosure for the Toro 360 tractor. 4G is high school foreign exchange student pursuant to School Board Policy 239. Foreign exchange students from France and Pakistan have met all the qualifications to attend the high school for the 2022-2023 school year. 4H, policies for second reading: Policy 806, child abuse; Policy 916, volunteers. 4J, donation, Tom Gleason Anchor Settlement. This is a donation to donate 20 wrestling singlets, 20 fight shorts, and 20 quarter zip warm-up jackets and 20 jogger warm-up pants to the high school varsity wrestling team. Approximate value of the donation is $3,199. Approval of documentation to verify proof of age. It's 4J. Does any member of the board want to take any item on the consent calendar separately? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve 4A through 4J?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Goetz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Eberly. Roll call.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The policy 916, the senior volunteer tax credit program, great idea. I'm glad we're now finally formalizing something. Just have a question, since we're approving this tonight. Do we have the infrastructure set up, procedures? Looks like a lot of paperwork, not that other districts aren't doing it. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, but just didn't know if we are all ready and set to go to implement this program. Does anybody know?
No, Sherry, I don't know.
I do not know.
Sorry.
Dr. Suppo would likely know.
Yeah, in my current role, I know really nothing about the program.
So are you asking about policy 916?
Isn't that it? Yeah, the volunteer.
And what paperwork in particular are you?
The senior volunteer tax credit program involves, looks to me as if it involves a fair amount of record keeping in terms of keeping track of hours so that seniors can get the tax credit based on their volunteer service. Am I reading something wrong? I mean, it just seems like could be some complicated paperwork in there, but.
I'm looking, Ms. Weber is here from Human Resources, and they normally do keep track of the clearances in that office, so.
It's not just clear, I'm talking about hours worked to give them. Deciding how much to pay, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
to my knowledge, that has not yet been decided.
I hope we have that settled before the first volunteer comes forward.
Can we table this until we know for sure if we can indeed implement this and have the resources aligned to follow through with policy? I mean, that,
We can table 4H, we'll divide it separately. 4H 916, we'll carry it over to the May 23rd board meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
So the consent agenda is amended to remove 4H Policy 916. 4H Policy 806 remains as part of the consent calendar. Any other questions? Roll call?
Mrs. Stephanie Eberly,
Yes.
Dr. Nathan Goetz,
Yes.
Mr. Don Hilbinger,
Yes.
Mr. Dwayne Burt,
Yes.
Mr. Levi Kressler,
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Suiters,
Yes.
Mr. Mark Butterball.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Christie. We'll move on to the action agenda. 5A, the Vista School Extended School Year Services. Is there a motion to approve 5A?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Suiters. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Goetz. Discussion? Roll call?
Dr. Nathan Goetz,
Yes.
Mr. Don Hilbinger,
Yes.
Mr. Dwayne Burt,
Yes.
Mr. Levi Kressler,
Yes.
Mrs. Stephanie Eberly,
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Suiters,
Yes.
Mr. Mark Butterball.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Christie. 5B is the Keola Services Renewal Agreement. Is there a motion to approve 5B?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Suiters. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Goetz. Discussion? Roll call?
Well,
Go ahead.
look up. I assume this is fairly similar to, I assume there's a contract expiring, and that this is similar to what we've had in the past with them?
Yeah, so the contract is like an automatic renewal contract, but this is just for recognition that we're going to be
Make sure there's
continuing
nothing
the
different in it
services.
from what's already existing, okay.
And this is different than the schools.
This is the programming that we utilize for our virtual academy. So it gives us a plethora of different learning platforms to use, such as Edison, Accelerate Education, Odysseyware. So we have the choice of those different platforms rather than us contracting individually through each one.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Mr. Don Hilbinger,
Yes.
Mr. Dwayne Burt,
Yes.
Mr. Levi Kressler,
Yes.
Mrs. Stephanie Eberly,
Yes.
Dr. Nathan Goetz,
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Suiters,
Yes.
Mr. Mark Butterball.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Christie. 5C, Emergency Connectivity Fund Grant. The administration's recommending approval to submit a grant for Wave 3 of the Emergency Connectivity Fund to support the purchase of student Chromebooks. Is there a motion to approve 5C?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hilbinger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Suiters. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Dwayne Burt,
Yes.
Mr. Levi Kressler,
Yes.
Mrs. Stephanie Eberly,
Yes.
Dr. Nathan Goetz,
Yes.
Mr. Don Hilbinger,
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Suiters,
Yes.
Mr. Mark Butterball.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Christie. 5D is the Superintendent Search Consultant. The Board of Directors seeks to hire Dr. Richard Fry through the National Center for Transformational Leadership Strategies as a consultant to conduct a search for the position of superintendent. Cost of the search process is $15,000. Consultant will receive an additional $1,000 per month for the first year of the new superintendent contract to serve in a coaching mentoring role for the newly seated superintendent. Upon execution of a future second contract term for the successful candidate, consultant would receive a $5,000 bonus. Is there a motion to approve 5D?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Burt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Eberly. Discussion?
Before we vote, I think it's worth just saying that for those who don't know, this fee that we're looking at here for Dr. Fry, based on our research, seemed to be competitive with other options that we explored. The board explored several options, but obviously wanted to get to work immediately in the search process. And I'll just say, from my perspective, with my brief interactions with Dr. Fry so far, very impressed and very excited to have him on board helping us with our search. So I'm optimistic that he will be able to help us get the right candidates and help us through the process to ask the right questions and do the right things to secure the right person for Shippensburg.
And to add on to Dr. Goetz's comments, Dr. Fry is a longtime superintendent who recently retired from Big Spring. His connections, he's involved in the state superintendents organizations and the national superintendent organizations, and his connections are going to just, I think, just be so invaluable to this board and open this board and our district up to candidates that, you know, quite frankly, we may not get in traditional other services that we haven't had the last 3 superintendent rounds. So I'm excited about that myself. Any other comments? Roll call?
Mr. Levi Kressler.
Yes.
Mrs. Stephanie Eberly.
Yes.
Dr. Nathan Goetz.
Yes.
Mr. Don Hilbinger.
Yes.
Mr. Dwayne Burt.
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Suiters.
Yes.
Mr. Mark Butterball.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, Christie. 5E is the appointment of substitute superintendent. Motion to appoint Dr. Alan Moyer as the substitute superintendent of the school district through educational staffing services beginning on May 23rd and continuing until July 15th at a daily rate of $5.56. By way of explanation of the motion, July 15th would be the last day that Dr. Suppo will be the superintendent here. So at that point, there will be another motion coming forward to remove the term substitute and appoint presumably Dr. Moyer as the interim superintendent until a permanent replacement is named. Before we vote, there's not that many people here tonight, but I do want to introduce Dr. Moyer. He's sitting down here in the front. Dr. Moyer, thank you, and, you know, welcome.
I might just say.
Come on up and go ahead.
Can you hear me all? I couldn't agree more with the comments that you made about Dr. Fry. I've known him for quite some time when I was a superintendent in Cumberland County and worked very closely with him. I think he'll do a great job. He has great gut instincts. I consider it an honor and a privilege to return to Shippensburg. As you may or may not know, I was here from 2007 to 2009 as the assistant superintendent. Had a great experience there, and it's great to see some of my old colleagues that are still here, and which is one of the reasons that motivated me to have interest in coming in and helping out. I do believe in working with the administrative team here and the school board. My goal would be to put the new permanent superintendent to lay the groundwork for him or her to be successful. And I believe if we work collaboratively as a team, we can do that, because I see so many positive things here at Shippensburg, and as I've studied a little bit more and done some homework, I'm very optimistic about what we'll be able to accomplish over the next few months. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and I consider it an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Well, welcome back, Dr. Moyer. And I just also want to let everybody know that Dr. Moyer was a superintendent at Boiling Springs School District and Hanover School District. You know, he's got the good superintendent experience we need, and looking forward to you returning to us. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Dr. Moyer as the substitute superintendent?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Suiters. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Goetz. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Stephanie Eberly.
Yes.
Dr. Nathan Goetz.
Yes.
Mr. Don Hilbinger.
Yes.
Mr. Dwayne Burt.
No.
Mr. Levi Kressler.
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Suiters.
Yes.
Mr. Mark Butterball.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great. Again, welcome, Dr. Moyer. We look forward to working with you. Move on to the discussion agenda. 6A are your policies for discussion. Policy 103 is the discrimination Title IX sexual harassment affecting students revised. 140.1 is your extracurricular participation by charter and cyber charter students. This is a new policy. And 605.1, district-initiated tax assessment appeals, and this is a new policy. Does anybody have any comments or questions regarding those 3 policies right now? Again, this is the first read. Hearing none, we'll move on. Oh, and if you do have any questions, please get those to Dr. Suppo before the next meeting so he can get you some answers. 6B is the Franklin County Career and Technology Center General Operating Budget. Anybody have any questions or comments regarding 6B? Moving on to 6C. 6C is Workers' Compensation and Violent Assailant Insurance Renewal for 2022-2023. Any discussions regarding 6C? 6D is the agreement with government software services for 2022-2023. Any comments or questions regarding 6D? 6E is the authorization for payment of bills for June and July of 2022. Any discussion? 6F is future fund balance commitment closeout. Administration recommends approval of the following to allow the business administrator to sign additional future commitments of the 2021-2022 unassigned fund balance subject to audit adjustments. Any questions regarding 6F? 6G is the Athletic Booster Club bylaws. Any questions regarding 6G? 6H is the resolution to file grant request. Any questions regarding 6H? If any member has any questions regarding these items, please get them to the superintendent before the next meeting. Since these are discussion agenda items, they will roll over to the action agenda at the next meeting.
Can I interject one comment here? I hesitate to do this because we're moving right along and this is awesome. So I appreciate this, but I think it might be worth having a brief, making a brief comment about these policies, because we often hear a lot of conversation about policies and where they come from. And maybe, I hate to put you on the spot, but Mr. Burt, as the chair of the policy committee, if you want to just kind of give us all a quick primer on these policies, because I believe these policies are not, it should be clear, like we're not trying to invent the wheel with these policies or reinvent the wheel. A lot of these policies come to us as sort of recommendations from PSBA, which reflect changes or updates in state law or whatever, and it's just a matter of us sort of adopting or modifying our policies to sort of stay abreast of current law and guidance. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I think you did an excellent job explaining it. Certainly, the policy committee and really the whole board does not write policy. But what the policy committee has done in the policies that you've seen recently, the ones that are here, we met in a public meeting and we reviewed word by word, sentence by sentence, the policies that were sent to us in every case by the legal and policy team of PSBA, and in one case our own solicitor. The policies have been reviewed by our solicitor, and in most cases, well, in some cases, we recommended those policies be moved forward to the discussion agenda for first read. In a few cases, we did have a couple of questions, and in the case of the policy written by the solicitor, we did send that back for some clarification. But with slight modification, the policies are back here to the full board in the discussion agenda for first read. They will then have the opportunity to come back again for second read and adoption, and that pretty much describes the procedure.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, we'll move on to the second citizen comment period. This is regarding any non-agenda items. If anybody has a public comment, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and the board welcomes your comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to board comments. Does any board member have any further comments?
Sure. Couple things. Exciting time of the year. Looking forward to getting out. There's a bunch of concerts going on and programs, recognition things. Looking forward to get out and about to as many of those things as I can. And then I just saw, as I came in here today, that our track team had another outstanding day. It looked like Trey Cater set the school record in the triple jump that was set, long jump, set in 1960. He broke it today with a jump of 23.5 feet, I believe. Also, Jillian Sidnor broke her own school record with a 12.18 100-meter dash. It's probably the fourth time she's broke it this year. And then a few weeks ago, I think Dakota Arena, our defending state champion high jumper, reached 7 feet for the first time, so he continued to break his own school record. So I encourage the public, get out, see the wonderful student athletes we have, the concerts and everything that are going on. It's an exciting time in the last 3 weeks of the school year.
I had one burning question. I didn't, is there anyone here who can tell me how Harry got his name?
I'm not really sure. He is named by the organization that we're getting him from. So just got that name. He's actually not super hairy, so he is a golden. He's not a lab, or I mean, he's a lab. He's not a golden, so he's not a super hairy dog. So I have no idea how he got his name Harry.
All right, thank you.
The board will meet in a very, very brief executive session after the meeting. I think we'll just meet back here, behind the stage here, since it's going to be a short one. I also want to extend, as the board president, my congratulations to Dr. Charles Patterson on being appointed the president of Shippensburg University. I look forward to working with him. The district looks forward to working with him. He has provided some exciting leadership, not just at the university, but in the community itself. I think it's just an outstanding decision by the State System Board of Governors, and I think we're going to be able to move, the district's relationship with the university well beyond just Grace B. Loras Elementary School. Finally, again, I look forward to working with you, Dr. Moyer, over the next few months. And job well done, Sherry.
I survived almost.
Any other comments?
Actually, I did have something. So ever since I've been seated on the board, I've been trying to just kind of get settled in. So I've been visiting some of the schools, and I've been doing a biweekly reading at James Byrd. On the 21st, I had read a book called Take Your Pet to School Day, which the students, there was a lot of interesting conversation because of the students, whether bringing your pet to school would be a good choice or maybe a not so good choice. So lots of interesting discussion. Mrs. Burt's class, actually, we ended up doing a bar graph to see how many dogs versus cats and birds were, how many that they had, along with Mrs. Martin's class actually did a writing assignment on opinions and facts and just persuasive writing. So when I had gone back on Thursday, they had read to me their writing after our last story time. So it was really great to see the students at work. And really, again, I just would like to see student representatives from all of our schools coming and speaking and sharing what they're working on, because they are the reason that we're here, and I would love to see more students actively participating during board meetings.
Thank you. Any other comments? Information date savers. May 10th is the Jazz Band and Sharps concert right here. May 14th is the high school prom at Beistels in Shippensburg. May 16th will be a board budget finance committee meeting at the middle school cafeteria. That same night, there will also be a high school band and chorus concert. May 18th will be the special education track and field. May 23rd is our next school board meeting. May 25th will be the commencement ceremony for the class of 2022. May 27th is the last day of school for students. And June 13th, June 27th, and July 11th will be the next school board meetings. And again, for the brief executive session, we'll just meet back here quick. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Oh, I was going to say, let's go.